Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I'm your host, Mark Francis. Prince Harry has found himself at the centre of a fresh wave of online criticism, this time for catching a barrel in a man-made surf pool. To celebrate the launch of Season 2 of With Love Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex shared a playful video on Instagram showing Harry surfing a perfectly sculpted wave at Kelly Slater's surf ranch in California. The moment, set to Salt and Pepper's What a Man, and captioned, "We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this important message," featured a gleeful Harry riding the high-performance wave before triumphantly throwing his hands in the air. But the moment of joy didn't last long. Critics were quick to pounce, accusing the self-styled eco-conscious royal of hypocrisy. One social media user writes, "Eco-warrior Harry, who lives on the Californian coast, drives inland to an artificial surf school that uses vast amounts of energy to create waves." Others mocked the artificial setting, calling the ranch a surfing compound miles away from the actual beach. The surf ranch, located in California's Central Valley, is indeed far from the Pacific Ocean, but not without its own environmental credentials. According to GQ, the facility boasts a solar-powered wave generator, sustainable construction materials, and a strong anti-plastics policy. Still, the debate continues, with environmentalists like Surfrider Europe previously criticizing such facilities as out of touch with the current climate crisis. Yet not everyone is buying the outrage. Local surfer Angel Chung from the legendary Channel Islands of Surfboards shop in Santa Barbara came to the Duke's defense. "Oh yeah, it's great," he said when asked about Harry surfing the artificial wave. "I've got a couple of friends who work there." Americans are enjoying a holiday weekend, a great time to hit the beach or perhaps binge watch their favorite cooking show on Netflix. When most people pack for a weekend away, they grab a change of clothes and a toothbrush. King Charles, however, takes a rather different approach, one that includes his own bed, toilet seat, and entire truck of home comforts. According to royal biographer Tom Bower, during a visit to friends in the north of England, Charles sent a truck ahead, carrying not just a few favourite items, but the entirety of his and Queen Camilla's bedroom setup, complete with orthopedic mattress, personal linens, and hand-picked decor, including 2 Scottish landscape paintings. Among the more eccentric items in the royal cargo were a personal radio, bottles of Lafroig whiskey, special bottled water, and what Bower describes as Kleenex premium comfort lavatory paper, accompanied by His Majesty's own lavatory seat. If that wasn't enough, Charles' personal chef team arrived separately with the monarch's preferred organic produce in tow. While this level of attention to detail may appear excessive, it's hardly new. Former palace staffers have long whispered about the king's very particular habits. In his book, Yes Ma'am, Tom Quinn described how Charles allegedly requires 6 eggs to be cooked so he can pick the 2 done to his exact liking. The palace has since denied the claim. Charles' culinary quirks don't stop there. In the palace papers, royal insider Tina Brown revealed the king often arrives at dinner parties with a pre-mixed martini in his own glass. Unlike the Queen, who always ate what she was served, Brown wrote, Charles stipulated his menu preferences up front. He's also known to skip lunch, or at least used to. At the encouragement of Queen Camilla and his doctors, Charles has since taken to enjoying a light midday meal, often featuring half an avocado. His Darjeeling tea is served with milk and honey, not the standard English breakfast, and he sometimes swaps out meat and dairy for plant-based options to reduce his environmental impact. But it's not all about indulgence. Charles takes genuine pride in his food, once sharing with Country Life magazine that he created his own recipes, including a moussaka made with grouse and his favorite pheasant crumble pie. In iNews, Lucky Mangan writes, Prince William pretending to be normal is winding me up. Mangan tells us, I'm about to offer the future King of England some advice, and it's very much his fault for being young enough for me not only to remember him being born, but for me to have been just old enough when the momentous event took place to feel the first stirrings of pseudo-maternal pride in this publicly owned baby. If you're going to attain something as essentially bonkers as a monarchy, something born of a belief in the divine right of kings, of the belief that the head of one particular bloodline is God's appointed flesh rep on earth, and ultimately exempt from any earthly constraint or judgment, well, you've got to be consistent. Otherwise, you'll start to look mad. Context is everything. The contract that exists between a monarch and his people is, we'll provide the tax money, you provide the entertainment, in the form of esoteric traditions, excesses, and enigmatic signs and symbols that we simply cannot get elsewhere. To think that modern royalty means a modest royalty is to misunderstand not just the nature of the contract, but also the nature of human envy. William seems to think that by minimizing extravagance, he will pre-appease a potentially angry mob. The reality is that if you go big enough, no one cares what you do. No one can truly comprehend that way of living, and so they dismiss it. Which is to say, we are not rational beings. And what looks like a sensible move, literally and metaphorically on the whales' part, could well have irrational outcomes. Watching people in a gilded cage can breed far less resentment than watching someone lead an ordinary life much better and more comfortably than you can ever dream of. Royal expert and biographer Robert Hardman spoke to GB News about William's plan to live at Forest Lodge when he is the monarch. Hardman said, "I don't think that's tenable. When the late Queen came to the throne in 1952, she and Prince Philip had just done up Clarence House as a sort of family home with their 2 young children. They loved it, and they didn't want to move. The Queen Mother, who was resident at Buckingham Palace, didn't want to move out. They presented their plans to the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, and it was Churchill who said, no, you've got to move into Buckingham Palace. The monarch has to live there. That will be a difficult conversation for whichever Prime Minister it is, of course. Prince William will be a harder nut to crack for a future Prime Minister, but I think Buckingham Palace depends on having a visceral connection between the monarch and Royal HQ. Palace Intrigue will be right back. What a home with no occupants really needs is a library. As the £369 million renovation of Buckingham Palace continues, Queen Camilla has reportedly made one special request, her own library. Despite generally avoiding involvement in royal property decisions, the Queen Consort is said to be making an exception for her lifelong love of reading. According to the Daily Mail, Camilla hopes to install a dedicated library in the palace, which notably lacks one after King George IV donated the original King's Library to the British Museum in the 19th century. A source noted that Camilla is just trying to see if it would be possible at this stage, given the extensive structural work already underway. Several locals from Cranbourne Hall Residential Park, just a 6-minute drive from the new home of the Wales family, expressed excitement at having Prince William, Princess Kate and their 3 children as neighbours, while acknowledging that the new residence is notably less secluded than their previous home, Adelaide Cottage. "I welcome them, but I hope the public allow them to live there quietly as a family," said 87-year-old Jean Reeve. "It's a less private spot than their previous home. From what I know about the location, I'd hate for people to always be going past and saying, 'Oh, that's where they live.' I've never heard anyone around here saying anything anti-royalist," said local teacher Cynthia Sullivan. "I think most people tend to like them around here." Reeve echoed that sentiment, describing the Wales as lovely and praising their down-to-earth approach. "It's a new style of monarchy. They like to be treated as normal people. It will be interesting to see if they pop into the local newsagent. It's their nearest now." Resident Stephen Scorgie even offered a few personal recommendations and an invitation. They should go to the Fifield Inn. That's my favourite pub. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or the app of your choice, and leave us a nice review if you're enjoying the show. Don't forget, you can get us now on Facebook and Instagram, and we're building a community there. Just look for Palace Intrigue on the Facebook pages or Facebook groups, and come in and say hi. We'd love to see you there. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.